Hello, and I would like to welcome everybody to my presentation of my Loyola University of Maryland Educational Technology Internship. My name is Clarence Swain III. I am in my fifth year teaching in Prince George's County at William Wirt Middle School, um, and I am working to earn my master's degree in educational technology from Loyola University. And so we'll hop right in. I've worked on an internship this fall, and that internship I hosted a 4 week webinar series consisting of teaching teachers or training teachers on creating online assessments using the websites eduelastic.com, quizzes.com, and Google Forms. And then I also trained them on creating student reflection activities using padlet.com, flipgrid.com, and also Google Slides. So, how does this tie into educational technology? Well, there were five key concepts that my internship surrounded itself with. The first and foremost is being student centered learning. The key behind this is with these online assessment tools and also the online reflections, it is student first. These are options to give students multiple choices on how to demonstrate what they've learned, whether that be taking a quiz that has multiple choice, short answer, and also fill in the blank, or that be using a Google form that has videos embedded in the Google form for a student to watch, or has passages for the students to read and then answer questions after. It allowed for students to do the learning and then demonstrate what they have learned. All right, and then with the student reflection, that first part is student. It gives the students using the Flipgrid, the Padlet, the opportunity to reflect on what they've learned and give them an opportunity to explain in their own words how they're feeling about what they're learning, uh, if they're understanding it, all those different things. And so that is the big piece. That is the key of why student center is that first key concept. Next, assessment with technology. As I said, one of the first things I train teachers on is the online assessments. So that literally is the assessment with technology. And I think that's important, and it's super important this year because of how COVID has affected virtual learning. But it also was just important before because technology was a way of life that was coming, and it was something that people needed to be prepared for and trained on. And so I thought this was a great tool to show teachers that yes, that pen and paper, we always want students to be able to respond and not just do multiple choice, and a lot of times that was the stigma for online testing. And I believe that you could do so much more. You could do group tests, you could do um, tests where there are short responses and so many things to be able to do online. As I said, you could do a test where you embed a video. That's totally different than anything you've ever done with paper and pen. But because it's online, you have this opportunity to embed this video, and now they get to watch a video and then answer questions after or assess the video. So it is huge in the technology world of building those assessments with technology. That's why I chose that key concept. Um, the technology integration models and technical tasks, right? So TPAC is a huge influence because I'm taking teachers who know their content, and we're going to learn that technical side, the technology, right? And we're going to bring those together using what I'm showing them. Y'all, they know how to give tests, paperback tests. They know the knowledge of what students need to know. So now using that backwards planning, we can create an assessment online that is thorough and covers all the content and bring those together in that TPAC model, as well as with the student reflection. And so that's why I chose technology integration model and talking specifically about TPAC. Equity, just specifically for Prince George's County, all students were given Chromebooks. All students were given hotspots if needed, especially because of virtual learning. And before, when I was been planning this, before virtual learning took place, in our buildings, at least at William Wirt Middle School, our students are one to one, so everybody had access to technology, and so it equaled out that playing field of technology and the use of it. And now taking what I've taught them on online assessments and student reflection, taking it a step further, using something like a hyperdoc, you give students choices. They can have a choice to take this paperback test if you wanted them to, if they were in person, or choose to do it online. And both can be just as equally effective. And now, or not even giving them the choice per se per test, but you're giving different opportunities throughout your quarter, equal out the opportunity for equity amongst students. Some might be better at doing the test online than they are with paperback. Some might be better getting a grade for doing their reflection and still proving that they've learned by just talking about it, right? So giving that equity, and making sure with those Google activities, all students in Prince George County have Google accounts. So anything done on Google Forms, Google Slides, they'll have that opportunity to do without any worries. And lastly, professional advancement. I think this actually had turned into one of my favorite parts of it, because I learned how much I enjoy teaching teachers. And so that's what this whole webinar series was just training teachers to improve and give them new tools to their toolbox so that they will improve in the classroom and students will succeed. And so getting an opportunity to do the synchronous meetups with the teachers, talk about the activities, letting them ask me questions, and we're collaborating and we're coming up with ideas on how we can put this in the classroom right now. And so that professional advancement was definitely a key concept. And I did not talk about each thing that I had linked, but this is an artifact of this is our first synchronous group class. Our first synchronous meeting where I trained them on using Google assessments. This has a Google it has a Google form attached to it, created by one of the participants. And as it says, just speaking about the fact that it is equity amongst our students, because all students have Chromebooks and they all have Gmail accounts. Um, this is one of my teachers discussing activity that they were going to be using, speaking about the content that they'll be able to use, and then showing how they're going to put it inside of a Google form. This is from a reflection journal from one of the participants. Along in this assessment, this is just an example of one of the assessments created by, it was a pretest created by one of the participants, and the student center. This is actually also another Google form, but it is that one I was speaking of with a video attached where they're asked to watch a video and then answer questions after, showing that student led learning. So now the process, right? Um, and we did 4 weeks of this webinar series, and I recorded each, two being synchronous, the first and the last, and two being asynchronous, where I just did webinars and I discussed how to use the websites. All right. So let's talk about this in general. It was supposed to be um, a 5 week process, but there were definitely um, changes that happened within my idea of what my internship was going to be because of virtual learning and virtual teaching. I know at William Worth Middle School, it's been a lot, something new every week, a lot on teachers' plates. And so I took 1 week out also because doing asynchronous, I felt like teachers were getting behind. And we did asynchronous because that was the choice of the participants, that they wanted to have asynchronous and synchronous um, for this webinar series. But I will say that was one of my biggest reflections, was that I would remove that asynchronous aspect out of it for the next time that I do this training, because teachers definitely fell off, and because again, it's just been so much difference and so much new things going on with the virtual teaching and the virtual learning aspects of it. So we did reduce it down to 4 weeks, which still worked out perfectly fine. We did the first 3 weeks of October, and then 2 weeks later we had a break in between. That also happened because the times where we were meeting, um, we would have every second and fourth Wednesday we would have staff meetings, but they switched it up on me and they postponed the staff meeting, so it took place when we were supposed to do ours, and so we ended up getting a week off. Um, and so as I spoke earlier about, these are just some um, artifacts here before getting into the starting of the topics. And how did I even get to my topics? Was I surveyed teachers. I asked them um, of some things that I felt like I had mastered and I knew I could train people on. What did they want to get trained on? And I asked them if it is something else, let me know, and maybe I had been ready. And how would they like it to be done? Do they want asynchronous? Do they want, only? Do they want synchronous? Do they want half and half? And so I ended up allowing them to vote and to just get and see the different requests, and that's how I ended up building um, my webinar series. Was strictly off of what the teachers were requesting and saying that they wanted. And so that's how we ended up with a half and half of synchronous and asynchronous. In 5 weeks, it was supposed to be 3 asynchronous and 2 synchronous, because it was a little bit more vote for asynchronous, but it was very close. So I wanted to be able to explain and give them the both. I wanted to open them up, let them know what we're doing, and I wanted to close them. And being in this ET program, I've experienced teachers where we meet every other week. I've experienced teachers where we met 3 times in 8 weeks, and I succeed in both. Right. So the thing is, allowing them to choose and have that decision was key to me. Um, Even down to the time, allowing them to choose what time we wanted to do our synchronous sessions um, at night after school, because I'm asking them for an extra hour after school, which is key. Um, so moving on from there, I had opportunity. This is a reflection journal. That this is just the example of what it would look like that I had them working on from week to week. They would answer 3 questions. Um, this is a quiz that I created for them to answer some questions from, like, just to see how are they learning, if they're learning. I also created a Google Classroom that was to be able to put everything in one place for the participants. And so, an example of a reflection journal has been linked in. Some different activities created. This is a quizzes that was created after the asynchronous assignment. This is a Google form that was created. It was spoken about earlier with the video they had to watch, and then answer questions later on. Um, and then also their reflections of it, of how they thought the webinar series went. And I decided to use Flipgrid because that's what I'm teaching them on, to use as a reflection tool. Um, and one thing I realized that I went backwards on, my overview. So I'll finish with my overview. Um, so my learning objectives were simple. Participants will be able to produce online activities, allowing students to reflect on their learning and classroom experiences. And participants will be able to create multiple multi-tiered online assessments, including type 1, type 2, and type 3, or tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 questions. Um, and so discussed already my how it was over 4 weeks. It was supposed to be 5, and we decided to change it. And the big thing is I just wanted to give I wanted to help teachers be able to give students that opportunity to reflect. That's such a key thing in education. So I wanted to show them that they could still reflect at home using these online platforms, right? And I wanted to show teachers that you can still assess students at a high level, even if it's not in class with a pen and paper, that there are online assessments for students to be able to use and answer questions. And so those were the big things for me. That's what I wanted to teach, and that's why I decided to go ahead and do my internship. Um, and so I definitely had reflections throughout the internship of how to change, and even now just discussing. I think going forward, my next one in the spring that I decide to do, I will still try to give participants choice because I think that is very important. To teach participants have to have a choice in what they're learning, how they're learning. Um, but I also now have a background and see, all right, these are working people. They need a thicker structure. In the sense of I would only do asynchronous the next time I do this. I won't leave it for synchronous because any questions need to be addressed. I also, a reflection from a participant was instead of asking them to do the reflection journal and create some type of activity each week, which is what I did, maybe ask them out of all the things I trained them on to create two things, right? Because they are teachers with full time loads and other things, families and things like that. So to ask them, and this is not a grad course, so to ask them to create an activity for each thing was a little too much. That's something I would definitely incorporate. Just asking them to create an assignment or some type of activity off the things they found most intriguing to them. Because again, now it's buy-in from them because that's what they like, that's what they want to see. So I thought it was a very humbling experience, and I believe after seeing different things created and listening to my reflections from the teachers who really enjoyed learning new things and being able to they like them saying that they can see how they're going to improve their teaching was what I really enjoyed. Um, and I really hope you enjoyed this presentation of my internship. I hope that um, you may be interested in me training you on these topics in the future, and I just continue to want to grow. And please, as you do my evaluation that I've left for you, and it will be a flip grid because I like hearing. I don't want to read. I want to be able to hear your tone. I want you to feel like we're having a conversation when you give me my evaluation. Um, Let me know what you think I could have improved on, what I could have did better, what you would have liked to see more of, or let me know those things as well so I can continue to improve. Again, this is Clarence Swain. Thank you and have a good day.